On July 23, 1990, 12 days after the sudden death of Gary Caradori, the Douglas County Grand Jury, formed in the wake of the DeCamp memo, issued its long-awaited report. A banner headline in the World Herald trumpeted, "Grand Jury says abuse stories were a, quote, carefully crafted hoax," end quote. The conclusions presented in the 42-page grand jury report, not to mention the pretentious language in which it discounted whole areas of the Franklin case, betray the deliberations of the jury rather as a carefully crafted cover-up. The grand jury gave opinions on a variety of matters. That's from Chapter 11 of The Franklin Cover-Up, Child Abuse, Satanism, and Murder in Nebraska by John DeCamp. Fascinating story. John DeCamp is a very interesting individual as well. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. The first thing I want to bring up in this video is to ask for input from my subscribers and viewers, all of you out there who enjoy my videos, and I want to say thank you very much for sticking with me. For all the new subscribers, I want to thank you for giving me a shot, and I just want to thank and praise your loyalty to me, and I appreciate all of your comments. I try to get back to everybody. I try to return messages that are sent to me. I try to respond to anybody who has you know, something that they want to ask me or say. Anyway, I'm thinking about doing a radio show, an internet radio show on Blog Talk Radio. I'm looking at either 1 or 2 hours a week, one day a week. I'm not really sure about how I want to format it yet. I'm sure there are people that would like a show where I just basically talk for an hour. I have no doubt about that, but I also know that there are people who would like to call in and talk to me, ask me questions, and talk about specific subjects, and I'm leaning towards that particular point of view. But of course it depends on people. I get people that actually want to listen to such a show. Would any of you be interested in that? And if you would be interested, I would definitely like to have input from people. So that means callers calling in and being a part of the show. Whether to ask me questions, to comment on something that I'm saying. I'm looking at it as sort of, you know, talk about some subjects that might be in the news, or talk about economic problems, or, you know, politics, what have you. Maybe you know, bring some things up in the beginning of the show, and then you just let the show take off from there. Let me know. Do you support that idea? Do you think it's a good idea? What day would work best for you? This would have to be in the evening, probably around 10 o'clock or so, for 1 hour, maybe 2, depending. Would you be interested in hearing a radio show like that? And having the call-in factor, having the people, you know, you involved in the show. So let me know what you think about that idea and whether or not you'd be supportive. Thank you. You can comment or you can send me a message. I want to comment on Obama / Sotoro, or whatever the hell his name is, and his recent infrastructure proposal. Let's say he's on the right track with this. I want to give him kudos on the one hand, but I want you to understand that in light of how things are in this country, there are two things that are patently obvious with Obama's infrastructure proposal. One is that it doesn't go nearly far enough, and it does not draw in the funding that needs to be drawn in order to make it work. Okay? And that is either through direct Treasury grant, you could bypass the Federal Reserve altogether, or nationalize the Federal Reserve and force them to fund it. Okay, so, and plus the actual infrastructure programs that he's talking about do not go nearly far enough to address the long-term problems in this country. One of the main things, yes, roads and airports and rail, absolutely vital and necessary. But I'm talking about the electrical grid, new power plants, new electrical grid, water and sewer systems, waste systems. All of these things need to be brought up to date. And we really need to consider about improving power output and improving access to power generation in this country. And that means new energy plants. Nuclear, solar, whatever. It doesn't even really matter at this point. We just need more energy generation capacity, and we need to update everything we have. Personally, I think nuclear is a great option. I think we should be going into nuclear whole hog. We should be using it as much as possible. And funneling a lot of research into fusion and also alternative energy. Absolutely. Research and development, too, should be funded with a lot of money. But he doesn't go far enough, and the second, and the other issue with this is the political timing. Okay, I'd like to take credit for having him talk about this because I've been inundating the White House with postcards demanding infrastructure. But I'm sure that I'm not the only voice doing so. Maybe some of the message is getting out there. Obama, Sotoro, whatever the hell his name is, obviously doing a political thing, trying to help the Democrats. The other thing that I want to comment about this is that, this sort of false dichotomy between Obama / Sotoro, whatever the hell his name is, and John Boehner, the minority leader in the House, and how they're trying to make this a two-sided thing, Republicans versus Democrats, left versus right, and etc. And you really got to hand it to these people because they stick to the script. They really do. And even though so many people see through this as nothing but play acting and a charade, they put on a good show and pretend like it's actually real, But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that politics really is real and that there really is a left and a right. Now, we know that's all crap, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it's true. If, in fact, that was the case, then the president has no need to appease a single Republican. Everything he wanted to pass, he could have passed because the Democrats control both houses of Congress. So why is it that his particular proposals are not being advanced? That in and of itself should debunk you of the idea that there is anything to this left-right, conservative, liberal. It's all nonsense. Everybody is part of the corporate party. Whatever other name you have is irrelevant. Briefly, want to just touch on the Koran burning proposed by a pastor, I believe, in Florida. The best thing we can do with this deal is to just ignore it. The fact that they're, concentrating so much on it, and I'm guilty of it right now, but I'm just going to make a very brief statement about it and urge people to just ignore it. Personally, he can do whatever he wants. He can add a big giant pile of Bibles on top of there, and the Torah, and the Hindu scriptures, and everything else on top of there. It doesn't mean a thing to me. And I got to say this: if you are so bound up in your religious dogma that you're going to allow some crazy wacko guy, a religious fanatic in his own right, who's going to burn your religious books, you're going to allow that to upset you and make you mad to the extent that you want to commit violence against people, then you really need to look at yourself, because you're letting somebody basically control your actions. So if you're a Muslim and you're offended by this, that's one thing. If you're a Muslim and the fact that he's burning your holy book makes you want to go out and kill somebody, and I'm not saying that it does, I'm just putting this out there, you really need to examine yourself, because you're being controlled by the actions of a religious fanatic there, and not even an Islamic one. Lastly, I want to talk about Russia and the suicide attack there. We're seeing agitation still in that Ossetia region in Georgia. You know, I don't have any proof of it, but I can tell you right now, the Russophobic foreign policy team behind Obama / Sotoro, whatever the hell his name is, dominated by Brzezinski. I'm going to say basically that whatever is going on up there, any kind of terrorist attacks, you can find down at the root of it Brzezinski and his Russophobia, and the idea that eventually we're going to have to face Russia in some kind of war. And I think this is disastrous, wrong, and should be, you know, countered in any way that we can. Obviously, getting Brzezinski out from behind Obama / Sotoro, whatever the hell his name is, would be a great idea, you know. But the Brzezinski family's big, and they've got their claws into just about everything. So I can guarantee you that whatever kind of agitation is going on over there, the Brzezinskis somewhere are involved. You can take that to the bank. So thank you, and good night.